Alright, so we are going to work on adjustments in this video. So adjustments in Photoshop are tools that let you modify the color, tone, and overall appearance of your image without permanently changing the original content. Common adjustments include brightness and contrast, levels, curves, hue and saturation, and color balance, among others. These adjustments can be applied directly to layers or throughout adjustment layers, which offer non-destructive editing by allowing you to tweak or remove changes at any time. Using adjustments gives you precise control over an image look, whether for subtle corrections or dramatic transformations. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new document, and you can just use the default Photoshop size, and you're going to copy and paste or drag in one photograph. You're going to resize it so it's smaller, like this. And we are going to end up labeling everything as we go. Each image layer is going to have a different adjustment to it. So you might want to pause it here and make sure that yours looks something like this. Okay, so we are going to start adding our adjustments to each layer. So I chose a photograph of myself in Morocco when I was riding a camel in the Sahara Desert. So my goal for this photograph is to change the contrast, make it look more like a silhouette, because you can still see some of the details on like my leg here. So that's kind of my goal for what I'm trying to do. But let's test out all these different adjustments and see what works best for the goal I'm trying to achieve. Some might end up looking similar, but they have different aspects to them to help you achieve whatever goal you are looking for in your photograph. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is turn off the text layer, because it wouldn't let me click on an image. So I've got this one selected right here. We want to make sure that we are selecting from image and then adjustments for our adjustments, because it'll affect just that one layer, where if we try to make the adjustments from the adjustments panel, it will affect all of the layers below where it is in the layers panel. So like if I were to add the brightness and contrast right now, and it ended up getting added on top of all of these here, and I changed the contrast, it's affecting all of the images. We just want to affect the one image. Select our photograph. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and the first adjustment layer that we're making is the brightness and contrast. So we're going to adjust the overall brightness or lightness or darkness of the image and add the contrast between the light and dark areas. So I'm going to click on brightness and contrast right here. Okay, so I am going to first change the contrast all the way up, and I'm going to adjust the brightness so it's a little bit darker, so that we have blue throughout the background. We can look at how it looked before and how it looked after. I'm going to go ahead and press OK, because I like how that turned out. I'm going to go ahead and click the next picture, and we're going to use levels for this adjustment. So that controls the tonal range of the image, adjusting shadows, midtones, and highlights. You can manipulate the input levels to brighten or darken specific areas of the image. So this one's working with the brightness again, but in a different way. So you'll end up seeing, let's go into levels. So you'll see a histogram here with 3 sliders. Black for the shadows. Let's look at the image for those those shadows. The gray for the midtones, and white for the highlights. We'll move the sliders to adjust the tones of the image. The middle slider adjusts the midtones, the brightness, while the outer sliders adjust the shadows and highlights. You can also use these eyedropper tools to adjust it. So like say I wanted the shoe to have be the darkest value, then it's going to automatically brighten it. If I want here to be the lightest value, it'll brighten it up. So maybe I want like that. Okay, so do I want to adjust it at all? So it allows you to adjust with certain areas. But I feel like that looks pretty good. And I'm going to press OK and click on the next picture. If you're not sure which one is next, you can toggle on the text. So we're going to add a curves adjustment layer next. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and then Curves. Curves allows for precise adjustments of the image's tonal range, offering more control than levels. You can adjust the brightness and contrast at various tonal points. You'll see a diagonal line that you can manipulate to adjust different tonal ranges. Dragging the curves upwards brightens the image. Like that. And dragging it downward darkens it. You can add anchor points on the curve for more control. So see how it's brightening. Again, it does have these eyedroppers here, so I could use it to find my darkest and my lightest values. And then I can change up how the curves look. On here, you can change up the channels so that you're just affecting the blue. So like maybe I want the background to look more like this. And then I'll press OK once I have it how I like it. All right. And then the next one that we are going to do is exposure. So let's go ahead and click the picture. So adjustments, exposure. The exposure controls the exposure of the image, which affects the overall brightness. This is particularly useful for fixing overexposed or underexposed photos. So you can change the exposure, the offset, and the gamma correction. There are also the eyedroppers here that you could use. And then once you have it how you like, there are also presets that you could use. Now let me go back. Alright, and press OK. And then the next one that we're editing is the hue and saturation. So image, adjustments, hue and saturation. So this changes the colors in your image by adjusting the hue, the color, the saturation, the intensity of the color, and the lightness. So if we change up the hue, you could get different colors in there. Maybe we want this guy just to be a little bit more tealish. We can change the saturation so that it's really bright and make it lighter or darker. There are preset types here, so if I wanted a sepia tone, if I want it to be a cyanotype, I could change that. Let's go ahead. Custom. And if you don't like it, you can always press cancel. You go image, adjustments, hue and saturation, and start over. You can also adjust certain colors by clicking on them here. And dragging. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and press OK. And then click on the next one. We are changing up the vibrance in this picture. So, image, adjustment, vibrance. So the vibrance adjusts the vibrancy of colors without oversaturating skin tones or colors that are already intense. Then I can press OK and click on the next image. So the next one is selective color, image, adjustments, selective color. This lets you adjust the colors in specific color ranges, so reds, yellows, greens. It lets you select it individually. So first we're going to change the cyan in the image. It seems to just affect right here, and maybe the magentas. The yellows. And the blacks. And then we can change within the yellows how that looks. We can change the blues. Once you have it how you like, then you can go ahead and press OK. And then let's click on the next picture. And the next one is color balance. So I'm going to press Image, Adjustments, Color Balance. So this adjusts the color tones in the shadows, midtones, and highlights. You can add or remove certain colors from the image. So you can make it more like a purpley night sky. That looks like an interesting color. And that was adjusting the mid-tone. So now if we're changing up the shadows, and then the highlights, once you have it how you like, then you can press OK. And we'll click on the next picture. And this one is adjusting it to be black and white. So I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, and Black and White. Cancel. I didn't select the right picture. So here we go. Image, Adjustments, Black and White. And it automatically changes the picture into black and white. But then you can adjust the colors in there. To really emphasize how you want it to look. Alright, so this adjusts the color tones in the, this converts a color image to black and white while gives you control over how the colors are translated into grayscale tones. So I'm going to press OK because I like how it looks. I'm going to click on the next image. We are going to invert the image. So Image, Adjustments, and invert. And so it just inverts the colors. So that it reverses the colors in an image, turning light areas dark and dark areas light. So the next one is Posterize. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Posterize. And then the fewer you have, the fewer colors are in it. So it reduces the number of colors in an image to create a flat graphic look with distinct color bands. So I might like it like this, and I'm going to press OK. And then the last one that we are editing is the threshold. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Threshold. This converts an image to pure black and white, where all pixels are either black or white based on a set threshold. So I think I would leave it right here. All right, so I'm going to turn the words back on. We want to make sure that we can still clearly see everything. especially on the threshold, it is hard to see. So I'm going to change that color to blue. And the rest look okay. All right. So if I'm looking at all of these adjustments and thinking about what my goal was to change the contrast so that it was showing my silhouette, um, but I still wanted to have like the colors in the sky and make them more vibrant. So when I'm looking at them, the black and white, invert, posterized, threshold, that whole last row doesn't really work for what I want it to do. Um, and then in the second row, when it's like the colors, I'm not getting that contrast that I really wanted because I can still see my shoe in the pictures. And then up at the top, I couldn't really get some of those colors that I wanted to, but the contrast was really there. So I might use either, like, I might be able to do it with the curves if I wanted that green sky, but say I wanted the colors from the color balance one with the contrast from any of the ones up on the top, I could adjust the contrast and brightness so that it looks using any of those tools in the first row, the brightness, the levels, the curves, or the exposure. And then I can add another adjustment layer to it with the color balance to get that sky how I want it to look, or maybe I want to use the hue and saturation tool to be able to change up those colors. All right, so the last thing we need to do is add our name. So I'm going to go to the library. I am going to, before I bring it in, I just want to make sure that I have the top layer selected so that my name goes up at the top. I'm going to press shift when I'm making it smaller. And I want to find a good area for this picture or for my logo. I'm going to leave it here, but I definitely think I want to add a drop shadow or something to it just to make sure I can read my name. All right, once you have that on there, we're going to save it as a PSD file and export it as a JPEG file. All right, so that is how you use adjustments to edit your image and edit your images.